You know, it's crazy to think about wildfires raging out of control at night.
Oh, absolutely.
And, like,
Yeah.
imagine drones, like, out there actually fighting those fires even when it's dark.
Yeah, it sounds like sci-fi, right?
Totally, like a movie or something, but
It's happening.
it's actually happening, all thanks to NASA.
Yeah, nice.
We've got this article. It's all about their wildfire fighting drone program,
Oh, wow.
and it's honestly pretty mind-blowing.
I bet. I'm excited to dig into this.
So for this deep dive, let's break down how these drones work, why they're a total game changer, and what it all means, for the future of firefighting.
For sure, yeah. I mean, one of the biggest limitations with how we fight fires from the air now is that it's pretty much limited to, daytime and clear skies.
Oh, right, because it's dangerous.
Yeah, sending pilots up when it's smoky, low visibility.
Yeah.
It's incredibly risky.
And then we miss a huge window of opportunity to, contain those fires, right?
Exactly. I mean, think about it. If we could fight them 24/7,
Oh, wow.
the impact would be huge.
Yeah, for sure. It's not even just about putting out the flames. It's about, doing it fast.
Quickly, yeah.
So there's less damage.
Yeah, minimize that damage, yep.
Yeah.
That's where NASA's ACERO project comes in.
ACERO. What's that stand for?
It stands for Advanced Capabilities for Emergency Response Operations.
Oh, well.
And basically their goal is to make, 2947 drone firefighting a reality.
Wow. That's ambitious.
It is. I was reading a quote from Min Shu, the project manager, and they said,
Oh, cool.
they're aiming to provide new tools, including airspace management technologies, for 24-hour drone operations for wildfire response.
Okay, so how do they actually make this happen? Do they, send up drones with water cannons or something?
Well, it's a lot more sophisticated than that.
Okay.
One of their key innovations is something called PAMS.
PMS?
Yeah, it stands for Portable Airspace Management System.
Okay, I need you to break that down for me. What is a portable airspace management system?
Think of it this way. It's basically a mini air traffic control tower in a suitcase. Seriously.
Whoa.
These PAMS units are about the size of a carry-on, and they have everything they need to make safe drone operations possible, even in really remote places where you wouldn't have the, normal infrastructure.
So it's a suitcase that can, manage airspace.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow, what kind of technology are we even talking about here?
So each unit has a computer that's kind of the brains of the operation. It manages the airspace and makes sure that drones don't hit each other or any other aircraft.
So you don't want a drone full of, fire retardant crashing into a helicopter.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
And there's more. Each PMS unit also has a radio for communicating with other units and something called an ADS-B receiver.
ADS-B. Now you're just using acronyms to make me feel totally out of the loop.
No, it's not that complicated. It stands for Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast. And it's basically a system that lets aircraft, broadcast their position and other data to ground stations and other aircraft.
So it's like the PAMS uses this receiver to keep track of all the aircraft in the area, even if they're not part of, the drone fleet.
Exactly. It's all about making sure there aren't any collisions.
Right, yeah.
But here's the kicker. These PAMS units can work offline, no internet connection.
Wait, so even if there's no cell service or internet in, the middle of a wildfire zone,
Yep.
this suitcase air traffic controller can still do its thing.
That's right. They designed it to be super reliable and self-sufficient,
Oh, wow.
which is, essential in emergencies.
Yeah, totally. Especially if a fire's raging in a remote area.
Right. Communication might be limited.
Yeah,
The PMS lets the drones operate safely even in those tough conditions.
that's seriously impressive. Okay, so you've got these systems managing the airspace, but how do they actually, coordinate the drones themselves? How do they know where to go and what to do?
Well, every drone has its own mission programmed in.
Okay.
Some might drop fire retardant. Others might be collecting data and images to help the firefighters understand how the fire is behaving. Some might even act as, communication relays to extend the network.
So it's kind of like a choreographed dance, but with drones instead of people?
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Each drone has its own role to play, and the PMS system makes sure everything runs smoothly and safely.
This is blowing my mind. We've gone from putting out fires with, buckets of water to coordinating fleets of drones. In just a few decades. Technology is crazy.
It's amazing. And speaking of technology, NASA put the PMS system through some really tough tests to make sure it can handle real-world firefighting.
Oh, yeah, I was reading about that. They basically tried to break the system, right?
Pretty much, yeah. They started with tests at NASA Ames, just to confirm the units could share information.
Right.
Then they moved on to harder tests in Virginia, where they used a bigger drone to test the communication relay capability.
Oh, okay.
But the most intense test was at Monterey Bay Academy Airport.
What happened there?
They simulated a wildfire, multiple drones in the air.
Whoa.
And they had pilots intentionally trying to cause problems, like submitting overlapping flight plans or going off course.
Oh, wow. So they were like
Yeah,
trying to make them crash?
basically, yeah.
Were there any close calls?
Nope. The system worked perfectly. It detected every potential conflict,
Wow.
alerted the pilots, kept everything safe. They even threw in things like weather updates to see how it would adapt.
So it passed with flying colors.
Yeah, and it really shows the potential this technology has to totally change how we respond to wildfires. Min Su, the project manager we were talking about earlier,
That's right, yeah.
they said that this testing is a significant step towards improving aerial coordination during a wildfire. These technologies will improve wildfire operations, reduce the impacts of large wildfires, and save more lives.
That's a powerful statement. So it sounds like they're not just stopping at testing. What's next for these wildfire fighting drones?
Well, they're planning more flight evaluations later this year, and then the big goal is to get this technology to the firefighters so it can be used out in the field.
So imagine firefighters being able to deploy a fleet of these drones, fighting fires day and night,
Yeah.
keeping everyone safer.
Exactly.
It's incredible how quickly this technology is evolving.
It is. And the impact could go way beyond just firefighting.
Right, oh, totally. Give me some examples.
Well, what about using it for search and rescue in disaster zones? Or delivering medical supplies to really remote areas? Or even monitoring environmental changes in hard-to-reach places?
Whoa, feels like we're on the edge of something huge here.
We are. That's why this is such a cool topic to deep dive into. It's not just about drones and wildfires.
Right.
It's about how technology can help us solve some of our biggest challenges in ways we never thought possible.
And that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating, right? It's the possibilities that are so exciting.
Absolutely. And I think that's something we can all get excited about.
For sure. Okay, before we get carried away with all the possibilities, let's go back to the advantages of this technology. Like, strategically, how does being able to fight fires 24/7 actually change things on the ground?
That's a great question. It's not just about having more time to fight. It's about changing how we think about wildfire management. Imagine attacking a fire when it's most vulnerable,
Okay.
like at night when it's cooler and usually less active.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Right. You can get a handle on it before it has a chance to spread like crazy.
Yeah, and it lets firefighters work smarter, not harder, right?
Exactly. They can use the data from the drones to, like, anticipate what the fire is going to do and target the areas that are most at risk.
So they're going from a defensive to an offensive strategy.
Precisely. Using tech to give them the upper hand
Yeah.
and protect lives and property more effectively.
This is really interesting. I'm also curious, are there any environmental benefits to using drones compared to, big planes and helicopters?
Oh, absolutely. Drones are so much more fuel efficient. They produce way fewer emissions, and they're a lot quieter, which is good for communities that are already dealing with the stress of a wildfire.
That's a great point. I hadn't even thought about the noise.
It can be a big deal for people.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've talked about the strategic stuff and the environmental stuff. What about the economics? Is it actually cheaper to use drones than traditional methods?
That's a tricky one. The initial cost of the drones is high.
Oh, okay.
But when you think about the savings on fuel, maintenance, and the potential to reduce property damage, the economics start to look really good.
So it's a long-term investment.
Exactly. Plus, this technology is still pretty new. As drones get better and cheaper to produce, they'll play an even bigger role in, firefighting and other emergency response stuff.
It's really exciting to think about. Okay, let's go back to those tests they did with PAMS. I'm especially interested in how they tested the communication relay.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell me more about that?
Sure. So they used a larger drone with a special radio to link the PAMS units on the ground with the smaller drones that were, doing the firefighting.
I see.
This is super important when, there's a disaster and communication systems are down.
So if cell towers are out or the internet's down,
Right.
the drones can still communicate and work together.
Exactly. It's all about making the systems super reliable, even in the worst conditions.
Wow, they've really thought of everything. Did they run into any problems during the testing?
Of course, every new technology has its challenges. One of the biggest ones was making sure the PAMS system could track all the aircraft even the ones that weren't part of the drone fleet.
Right. You don't want drones getting in the way of other aircraft.
Exactly. So they had to develop these really complex algorithms and sensor systems so that PAMS could tell the difference between different types of aircraft and avoid any potential collisions.
It sounds like it was a huge undertaking.
It was, but it's really impressive what they accomplished. Not just developing this amazing technology, but thinking through all the potential problems and coming up with solutions.
So we've covered a lot today, how these drones work, why they're such a big deal, and what it means for the future of firefighting. We've talked about the strategic advantages, the environmental benefits, the economics, and all the testing that's gone into it.
Right.
But I have a feeling there's more to explore.
Yeah, I think so too.
So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dive even deeper into the potential applications and implications of this really groundbreaking technology.
Sounds good. I'm ready for more. Welcome back. You know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think how, like, a problem as old as time, wildfires, is driving, incredible technological innovation.
Yeah, you're right. And it's not just about putting out those fires. It's about doing it smarter, safer, and with less impact, like on the environment.
Right.
Think about the risks sending in, human pilots, especially at night.
Yeah.
Drones, they kind of take away a lot of that danger, don't they?
Absolutely. They can access areas that would be impossible or way too dangerous for traditional aircraft. I'm just imagining like a drone with thermal imaging cameras, pinpointing those hot spots deep in the forest, or like a whole team of drones working together, creating a live map of the fire.
Oh, wow.
So firefighters know exactly where to go and what to expect.
It's like a video game strategy, but with real life consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why, all that rigorous testing we talked about, it's so important.
Yeah.
We need to be sure these systems are reliable, safe, before they're used in a real fire.
The article mentioned how they really push that PAMS system to the limit. Like having pilots deliberately try to cause conflicts, in the airspace.
Yeah, it's like they were trying to break it.
Yeah.
To prove how strong it is. And it passed. Detected the conflicts, alerted the pilots, no collisions.
That's amazing.
Pretty impressive, right?
Yeah, and I thought that detail about testing the communication relay.
Oh, yeah, with the bigger drone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fascinating.
It's essential.
So they sent up that larger drone with a special radio acting as like a link between the PAMS units on the ground.
Yeah.
So even if the internet is down, they can still talk to each other.
That's key in a disaster.
Yeah.
When communication is down.
Yeah.
It means those drones can operate on their own, even in the toughest situations.
It's incredible how much they thought ahead about, like, potential problems and designing solutions.
Right. That's what good engineering is all about.
Yeah.
Anticipate, plan, and test.
Yeah, it sounds like they really nailed it with PAMS.
They did.
So what do you think, like, when will we actually see these wildfire fighting drones in action? Could it be within, like, the next few years?
Well, the article mentioned they're doing more flight evaluations this year.
And the goal is to get it to firefighters soon. But there are always, hurdles when you're implementing new technology.
Like regulations, training, logistics.
All of that, it's complicated.
Yeah.
But they're on the right track. And once it's proven, think of what we could do.
It's more than just, like, a cool gadget.
A whole new way of thinking about these challenges.
It's almost like we're seeing, like, a new era of firefighting.
I think so.
It makes you wonder how we ever did it without them. Reading this article, it made me think about all the other ways this technology could be used.
Right, like we talked about before.
Yeah.
Search and rescue, disaster relief, environmental monitoring.
Yeah.
It goes on and on.
Yeah, and those are just, like, the obvious ones.
Right. Once this is out there, who knows what creative uses people will find.
It's like giving a powerful new tool to, a bunch of brilliant minds and saying, go forth and create.
Or like giving them a blank canvas, a set of paints. Paint the future.
What a future that could be. It's not just learning facts. It's like...
It's about expanding what's possible.
Yeah.
Sparking curiosity, making us think critically, giving us the power to change the world around us.
And it all starts with a suitcase air traffic controller for drones. Who knew?
It just goes to show innovation can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from simply asking, what if?
Yeah. What if we could fight fires at night? What if we could manage the airspace without, Like needing the old infrastructure? What if we could send out robots to help us in dangerous situations? It's these questions that, drive progress.
And it's not just the technology, it's the people behind it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The engineers, the scientists, the firefighters, the policymakers, they're all working together to make this happen.
It's inspiring.
It is.
And it makes me optimistic about what we can do when we all work together. If we can solve a problem as complex as wildfire management with this kind of innovation, imagine what else we can do.
It's a pretty exciting time to be alive, wouldn't you say?
I think so.
And thanks to, resources like this article, we can learn about these new developments.
Knowledge is power, right?
Yeah.
Understanding new tech helps us be more engaged.
Absolutely.
Ask the right questions and help shape the future.
For sure.
So to wrap things up, I want to leave you with a thought. We've talked about drones fighting wildfires, but what about using this tech to fight other environmental threats?
Oh, that's interesting.
Could we use drones to monitor deforestation or track pollution or even plant trees in really remote areas?
Those are great questions.
Yeah.
And I think it's up to all of us to explore those possibilities, to imagine how we can use these tools to create a more sustainable world.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty inspired.
Me too.
Let's keep asking those what-if questions and see where they take us.
To a brighter future, hopefully.
I think so, too. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep imagining all the possibilities.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about how useful this tech could be in other areas.
Oh, definitely.
You've been talking about wildfires, but the potential goes way beyond that.
Absolutely. The basic idea, using a portable system to manage drones in really tough environments that can be used for so many things.
So if we think about the key parts, autonomous drones, being able to work without, internet or cell service.
Yeah.
Where else could this be helpful?
Well, the article mentions search and rescue. Imagine an earthquake or a hurricane, communications down, access is limited.
Oh, yeah.
Drones with sensors could check out the damage, find survivors, even bring in supplies.
That's incredible, especially, right after a disaster when time is so important.
Exactly. And think about the environmental stuff we were discussing.
Yeah.
Monitoring deforestation in remote rainforests, tracking pollution over huge areas, even checking on wildlife.
Drones could get information that would be almost impossible to get otherwise.
It's like a whole new way to understand and manage the planet.
It is. And it's constantly evolving, too.
Yeah.
As drones get more sophisticated and the PAMS system keeps getting better, there will be even more uses for them.
It's really exciting. What do you think the future holds for this kind of technology? What will the next generation be able to do?
That's the exciting part.
Yeah.
We don't know yet, but that's what innovation is all about, right? Pushing the boundaries, finding solutions to problems we don't even know about yet.
Yeah, that's a good point. So for people listening who maybe aren't engineers or scientists, what's the takeaway here? How can we, stay engaged and be a part of this future?
I think the first thing is just being aware of what's possible.
Right.
By understanding what this tech can do.
Yeah.
We can start to imagine how it could be used to, help with the things we care about, like climate change, disaster relief, all sorts of things.
It is about asking what if.
Exactly.
And maybe even taking it a step further, finding ways to get involved.
Right. Are there groups in your community working with drones or research projects you could support?
Yeah. Good idea.
And it's not just about the big picture.
Right.
It's also about how this tech is being used locally.
Oh, okay.
Are there ways to use drones to improve services where you live? Or deal with infrastructure problems, make things safer?
Yeah, those are good questions.
These are all important things to think about.
It's like a call to action, right?
It is.
Don't just watch technology happen, be a part of shaping it.
Exactly. And that's what's so great about this whole conversation.
Yeah.
It's not just about the tech itself.
Right.
It's about how it can empower us to make things better.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up our deep dive.
I agree.
We've covered a lot, from the specifics of wildfire fighting drones to the bigger picture of, autonomous systems and airspace management.
It's been a really interesting conversation.
It has.
I hope it's given you some things to think about.
For sure. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And remember, keep asking what if, keep imagining, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to come up with the next big thing.